Hello, people of YouTube. This is Gray's Guitars. I am Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. I am not plugged in today because this is going to be Trade Tuesday. Yes, I am borrowing that name from Trogley because he does those once in a great while too, and I may continue to do those once in a great while as well. Because I do buy, sell, and trade guitars a lot, and this is one of the guitars that if you watched when I was live, the video is still on my channel, you would see this for like 2 seconds of me playing it. So what to look for when trading, what to look out for, should beginners do it, should experts do it, what is the whole deal here? So I'm going to explain to you how I got this $900 guitar for essentially $150. So several years ago, this is a several year in the making type scenario, just so you know, I bought a Schecter Damien Elite 7 that had the active 7-string guitar, active EMG 8185 pickups, and there was a faulty knob. So the tone knob was broke, something was messed up with electronics. I have some soldering skills. Well, I kind of have some soldering skills. I know a little bit about it. I now have a soldering station, so I can do some basic soldering. And I figured, you know, how bad can it be to fix the thing? So I opened it up, found a couple of wires, looked up a schematic where they were supposed to go, put them back where they were supposed to go. The guitar worked beautifully, worked fine. But after a while playing it, found out, you know, 7-string, not really my thing. It had a really, really huge, bulky neck heel, unlike this with a nice carve away. This is the modern design. I ended up trading that for a Fender Mustang in olive green. It was made in Mexico. And that was a pretty, you know, I would say even trade at the time. It might have been a little bit better on my end, but I quickly found out, no, it was not better on my end because that thing had dagger frets. So if you're not familiar with fret sprout, that is something you need to look out for as well. It's when you go like this and the frets are literally jabbing into your hand. And let me tell you, there was one fret on this particular instrument that legitimately cut my finger. Now, I have files I have access to, I should say. I don't personally own small files. And I was not comfortable doing that myself. I did not want to have to deal with the fret sprout, so I ended up trading that guitar for the Fender Telecaster, which you have seen several times in a couple of videos ago where I did comparisons with it. And then I really wasn't using the Telecaster. The Telecaster I actually ended up having to replace the nut on. I did not do that myself. Yet again, have access to the files, rather have a professional do it. You know, it only ended up costing me like $20 or $30 to do it, so it wasn't super expensive. You know, it was a price point where I was very comfortable having somebody else do it, a professional do it. And played fine, played great, but the neck, little narrow for me. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it was the shape of the neck or what, but after a while of playing, you're talking like a half hour, it really hurt the inside of my hand, and it sounded great, and I liked the way it played and feel, but when you can only play the instrument for 30 minutes without getting without getting hand fatigue, very aggravating, very, very annoying. So I just went through several different things that you're going to have to be aware of when buying an instrument. You know, number one, the first instrument I bought for fairly cheap because it had broken electronics. If you have a little bit of soldering skills, a lot of the times you can fix that stuff yourself. Most of the time it's, oh, the input jack is loose, one of the wires broke, they don't know what's wrong with it. You take it apart, 2 seconds later you have a working guitar and you paid a third of the price for it because you bought it off of somebody that didn't realize what the issue was. They didn't want to pay somebody else to fix it. I see a lot of people like that. I bought a couple guitars that way where they didn't want to pay somebody else to fix it. Something like this with crazy active electronics, if it wasn't working, I might be a little bit more wary. Second thing, fret sprout. That is right. Be wary of fret sprout. If it's go up and down the neck like this, if it's catching your hand and it's really cutting into it and it's really bugging you, you can say no. It's okay to say no when trading a guitar. Next thing is the nut. Is the nut cut correctly? This one, I don't know if the nut is cut correctly because when I play, especially on the E and the A string, if I play really quiet, it's fine. But if I put, you know, any sort of strength into it whatsoever, that's either going to be an issue with the nut or an issue with the frets. That's something you need to be wary of too. Somebody may be trading a guitar and be happy to get rid of it, even if they're doing it at a loss, meaning they're trading down because the guitar they're trading for is less expensive and you're getting the more expensive guitar. Then they may be doing it for a reason because the frets are uneven. It's going to require a fret level, file, level crown, and those can cost $250. So that's something to keep in mind as well, especially if you're a beginner. Honestly, I would just stay away from trades if you don't know what you're doing, if you're a beginner, Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes not so much, and all you have to really do is listen, is hopefully the guitar is kind of set up when you're in the trade, and you just do the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise. And as you see, I'm going down the neck, and that buzzing's kind of going away. So I'm thinking the nut here maybe is not cut deep enough. And this is a Graphtec nut too. Electronics-wise, active electronics, you may want to stay away from because a little bit more involved. I mean, this thing, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 different push-pulls, coil splits, different voicings, 3-way switch. You got a battery in the back, and if the electronics are messed up in there and you don't know what you're doing, you don't want to mess with it, it's going to cost significantly more to get it fixed because there's a lot more wires happening, a lot more things going on with the pickups as opposed to a passive guitar where nothing is splittable, very straightforward. You got 2 pickups or 2 humbuckers and you're good to go. And I personally don't trade down. I will trade even, I will trade up. Meaning, someone has something a little bit nicer. I personally thought this was a little bit nicer, and this is worth a little bit more than a made in Mexico Fender Telecaster, so I had no issues. He gave me a hard shell case with this too. I didn't have one for the Telecaster. He was okay taking the gig bag, which, if they're okay with it, they're okay with it at the end of the day. That Telecaster, if I went to sell it, reverb prices max around $500 to $600. And it definitely had some condition issues, but it wasn't like broken finish or any cracked necks, anything like that. This, on the other hand, if you go in the used market, $700. So about $100 difference. As I said, he was comfortable, I was comfortable, wasn't a big deal. That's something I didn't realize though was the buzzing issues on the first 2 frets. Why? Because this thing was not set up. That's something you also have to look to as well. Originally, the strings on here were gross and grimy. The fretboard was grimy. And it's kind of ridiculous. The guy must have played the crap out of it when I bought it. Or whoever owned it previously, if he didn't. Somebody played the crap out of it because there was all sorts of grime and goo and gunk on the frets. I restringed the entire thing. I showed you that video too. I did keep the D string because when I was doing it, I messed it up with the tuner and I ended up breaking the D string. I think I either broke it or I broke it on a previous guitar, so I had an open pack that did not have a D string. That's what it was. I messed up the tuning there, and that does happen. Even people that have strung guitars a million times like me, it's going to happen. You're going to break a string once in a while. That's why you always have a couple extra packs around. Or you can be weird and boil it and see if that actually does anything. And honestly, it's kind of holding up. It's not in tune right now, but it ain't bad. It's holding up, doing what it's supposed to. But if the guitar isn't set up, it's also very hard to go through it. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of like, do I really want to buy that thing? And the past 2 guitars, I got kind of unlucky with this one with the buzzing. It's set up where it should be right now. The action is actually higher than a lot of people like it. I like my action higher. I've said that in the past. Truss rod is exactly where it should be. This one has a dual action truss rod, which is pretty cool because it goes both ways. But it's either a nut issue or the first couple of frets here, something's uneven. And I do have a fret rocker, which isn't a bad tool to bring to a guitar trade, because if you're ever worried about the frets, you just go up there and and right there. So my 3rd fret is maybe too high. So maybe that's what's causing. Yeah, my 3rd fret I think is too high. So that may be right there what is causing the issue. So I might be able to just take that to somebody, have them just file that down just a touch, and that may actually solve my buzzing issue. So I might try that in the future as well. Although I am kind of thinking about trading this guitar. I do have a guitar with Fishman Fluence Moderns in it. The Epiphone versions are a little bit different. But yeah, you can get a fret rocker tool. Be careful with the cheap ones. This is kind of a cheaper one, but it's a neck. You know, it actually has a brand name on it. It's called Neck Check. If you're trying to find this, and StewMac, kind of expensive, but possibly worth it. You know, especially if you're doing this a lot, because it never hurts to check the frets. That's something, if the guitar is set up really badly, at least you can know that the frets aren't shot. If you're rocking every single one and you know the whole thing is going to need a level recrown, then you're getting expensive, especially if it's a cheaper guitar. If you're going $300 guitar to $300 guitar, you do not want to spend $250 to get the frets corrected, or attempt to do it yourself and mess it up if you've never done it before. You know, if you got the tools, I don't have the tools to do a fret level, fret crown, all of that. I do not currently own those tools. So that means I get to bring it to somebody else. You know, if it's a $5,000 guitar that you're trading for and it needs it, probably not as big a concern. But if you're in the lower end of things, and even something around here, you know, yes, technically I only have $150 in this guitar, so if I had to get the whole thing leveled and crowned, probably would only cost me, you know, I'd be in it for like $400, which still really good price for this particular guitar, especially that it came with the case as well. So not a big deal. But these are just all things to look out for. As I said, if you like this kind of video, I will make a continuation. I have another guitar I traded for that I was actually setting up in my previous live video, that I can do a video on that as well if you're interested. If you want to hear a demo of this, or you want to see me tear it apart or something, maybe not tear it apart, because I should have done that when I had the strings off of it. That would have been a smarter idea, but now that it's all set up and everything, maybe not so much. But let me know what your thoughts are on this video. Hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all that fun jazz. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.